night stream. With me is always the lovely Dual Wheel and T-Tac. Say hi, girls.
Hey.
What up, what up? Girls, where?
I keyed. Oh, Lord. Yeah, and Akam will be joining us. He just knocked off of the work, working very hard, slinging the grease, and he should be joining us in about 15 minutes.
Cool.
Yeah. Well,
cool. I do have to say, I probably can't stay too long. Tonight is studio night, so I'm going to kick it off and hang out with you guys for a little bit and then lay something fresh for you guys.
All right. Well, what do y'all want to talk about? You want to talk about news, or you want to talk about drama?
Yeah, actually, no. I was hoping you guys could give me a little news. I just haven't looked into it yet. What happened at the Ben Shapiro talk? Tell me, because I just haven't looked into it. So inform me. Okay.
I watched the whole thing today, and the talk itself went really well. I really loved how he broke down intersectionality. He was just constantly he basically was saying that as long as we're giving thugs a platform, there can be no true discourse.
Yeah, all I saw was like headline after headline, fake news this, fake news about a girl getting stabbed in the neck, or
was
that something else?
I heard that there was speculation on what happened there. There was people saying that she was either stabbed in the neck or was pushed off a ledge and fell from a height and busted her head. But I was seeing all that through Lauren Southern. And the last I saw, someone was trying to grab her sign or something like that, and she fell from the ledge and hit her head and ended up leaving on a stretcher. So
that's the girl, not Lauren Southern.
Yeah, that's the girl, not Lauren Southern. Yeah, okay. Lauren Southern was the one that was putting it up on Twitter.
Right.
I saw 2 or 3 tweets from her about it. So
okay,
I watched Shapiro's speech too. It was good. I liked it.
Yeah, me too, man. One thing I did see was this dude that looked. I mean, he looked exactly like Dave Mustaine, and he was one of the guys that got arrested. There was like 4 people that got arrested for having illegal, or not illegal, but banned weapons from the, I guess he was, one of the protesters outside or something.
Yeah, I think 9 in total ended up getting arrested.
Yeah. Okay, it didn't happen as bad as some of the things people made it sound.
No. They actually put the police, like they'll let the police actually do their jobs with this one. So
that's good.
He said he actually talked to a few cops, and they were like, yeah, they finally like let us off the chain, So they were able to, which is weird because it's a 150-pound Jewish dude that just has different opinions, and they have to spend like $600,000 for security and stuff for this building because of Antifa, basically. So they surrounded the building with cops, and they weren't allowed. No one was allowed to wear masks. If they had masks on, they were going to get arrested. If they had any kind of illegal weapons or any kind of weapon at all within a certain vicinity, apparently, they would get arrested. I guess they rushed one dude. He pushed a woman, and they rushed him and arrested him. So they were actually out doing what they needed to do. And they didn't have some politician, telling them to hold back and just let shit happen. So, yeah, it was good.
Huh. I'll definitely have to look more into it then.
Yeah, the talk itself was really good, and I really like the question and answer session because he got some questions. I was in the stream last night, and a lot of people were saying that he's got some canned responses to a bunch of to a bunch of different type of topics, because he hears the same shit over and over again, right?
Sorry about that.
And no problem, man. And so he got some good questions from the audience. I thought there was one from this.
Hamstein's rolling through.
He's actually going to show up.
Who?
Sorry, guys.
We can't be doing this.
No, Einstein, my producer, is going to show up too. Okay. So that's when we got to roll to studio night.
Was Miles going to roll by, or is he there now?
Miles is here. He said, "What's up?"
What's up, Miles?
They said, "What's up, Miles?"
You change. He ought to change his last name to Go, so he can be Miles to Go.
Said, "Change your name to Miles to Go."
Miles away. Miles above you. Miles below you.
Ah, shit.
Or 8 miles high. You remember that song?
Dual spitting that fire earlier.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're gonna be recording. That and a couple other songs tonight.
King shit.
Sweet.
We're gonna be getting in. Probably gonna be up to like 2 or 3 in the morning. So that's like 5, 6 for you guys.
So you can do some Jimi Hendrix fire.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna just go get some.
So that's what a studio night is. I've
I've
never been to a studio night before.
No, I have the studio right here in my house.
Well, yeah, I know. You called it a studio night. Is it just the night you guys kind of focus on recording and shit?
Yeah, just making all kinds of new stuff.
Cool, dude. Yeah, I've been in the studio once. I recorded. It was Crap Rap. I don't know if you've ever. Crap Rap. I think is the one that I did in there. But yeah, they like put me in the booth, and I was with all the soundproofing.
Oh yeah.
And, yeah, it was actually kind of cool. But everything else I've done is
I miss doing that in like in an actual studio with all the angled walls in the room.
Yeah, I was like in a different room from everyone else. It was weird, but
yeah,
I had a guy I worked with that was into the studio, like the engineering type stuff, the musical stuff, and so he knew the guy at the college that we went to, and we used their sound booth. It was cool.
Sweet.
I snuck into the sound booth when I wasn't supposed to. When I was going to the Art Institute, they had like these little DAW and the digital audio workstation rooms, like 6 of them in a hallway, like a little classroom. And my first day, after I got out of class, I just walked down there, persuaded, got a pass, got in, and recorded a song.
That's cool.
Cool.
Anyway, guys, if you guys are still on by the time I get back, I was glad to say hi and what's up to you guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of the stream.
Well, we should be shooting. Yeah, we should shoot. We're shooting for like a full 2 hours on this thing. If we don't make it that far, that's fine. But that's what we did last week, and that was kind of crazy. But take it easy.
They're fun. They're fun streams.
Yeah, yeah. So
alrighty,
all right, take it easy, and if y'all finish early, come on back. We'll be here.
Definitely.
All right.
Have a great night. Later, T-Tac. Later, Silverblade.
Later, guys.
See you. One man leaves, another man enters. Take care.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, all right, man. I wasn't expecting you, really, to be honest, Silver. I'm glad you came, man. Good.
Just had to make arrangements with the elderly folks.
That's cool. They doing all right, man?
Yeah, they're doing okay.
Good. Good deal. All right. So we're talking about the Ben Shapiro speech. In next week it's going to be Milo again. So
oh yeah, I heard that.
And later on, Steve Bannon.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
That one's going to be the explosive.
So they're just ratcheting this shit up. They're going to, it's like, well, maybe, I don't know, man. Antifa, I was looking at something they were talking about. They were trying to rebrand themselves. And they were just like out and out saying it was like it wasn't on 4chan, it was in like something like a Craigslist or some shit like that. They were saying, Antifa opening, we're openly changing our name. It's like
Antifa rebranding is just like polishing a turd.
Exactly.
It's still a turd, even though it's shinier.
Yeah.
Maybe
they won't even make it shinier.
They probably realize they're actually fascists. So
no, they would never admit that.
Yeah,
the media is starting to call them it. So
yeah, media is waking up, but even then, they're still slightly. Well, they're not as bad as white supremacists, racists.
Well, Ben Shapiro's the number one head Nazi now, according to what was that? Anti-Defamation League. Yeah, the Anti-Defamation League has certified Ben Shapiro as the number one Nazi in the United States now.
Which is funny. It's funny because the ACLU, or what was it? I think it was ACLU, says that he is the most targeted person by white supremacy groups.
It's nuts.
Yeah, by anti-Semitic stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the anti-Semites are vehemently against him because he's Jewish and openly wears a yarmulke, and yet the ADL says he's anti-Semitic. It's like, hey, left, get your shit straight on what story you're going to use on him. You know.
Well, and the ADL is a Jewish, supposedly a Israeli, based organization.
Supposedly, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Supposedly now they're just pure Marxists now. They don't have anything to do with Israel because they hate Israel. And this has always got me. I've been voting quite a while now, and the reason that most of the Jewish people that I know and that I have known in my life, they were all leftists, and they all voted in a very liberal manner, and it just always blew my mind because the left is strong Palestine support. It's just it's
well, I mean, back when I worked in a comic shop, I used to quasi troll political conversations, whether it's Facebook or on online forums, and I actually pissed off this one woman who took what I had said the complete wrong way and actually came to the comic shop on a day I happened to not have been working there and was demanding, "Where is he? I want to kick his ass." And I even saved the chat thing of it, and it was freaking ridiculous. But it's a Jewish woman that wants to beat my little lily white Irish ass because she took something I said the wrong way, and because I'm a conservative.
Dude. Oh, yes. Interesting. I worked at a comic shop too. Did you, T-Tac? Have you ever worked at a comic store?
Nope, have not.
Okay. I was trying to look for another commonality, but yeah, I worked at one. I worked at one from I think it was like 1985 to 89.
2002 to 2012.
Yeah, and it was awesome because he said, "Look, I'll pay you cash, either $5 an hour or $7 in trade, plus a 30% discount."
I started off at 6. I only got one pay raise to 7, and then I got the 30% discount. But more often than not, I only got $20 to $30 a week for full-time work, and the rest was in store credit.
In trade, exactly.
I'm still owed about $4,000, whether in store credit or in actual cash. I'll never see it because the way comic books are nowadays is nobody wants to buy SJW comics from Marvel in particular.
Right.
And the comic shop was already, in the toilet debt-wise. And that's why I agreed to go $20, $30 a week because it was something. It was better than nothing.
Right.
And then the comics I would get out, I mean, I could actually resell them at a higher value than what I paid for them. So I was like, okay, that's kind of a decent deal, but it wasn't. When they wanted me to come in as a quote unquote volunteer, meaning we ain't paying you shit, I'm like, sayonara.
No doubt, man. It's funny. I was talking to one guy. It was Captain Cummings.
I love that guy.
Yeah, do y'all follow he fucking got nuked again on Twitter? This is like the third time. I know, man. This is the third time his account has been. I mean, they didn't spank him or anything. He is not in timeout for 2 weeks. They nuked his ass. This is the third time he's been nuked.
Well, how many of the comic book writers and artists have banned him or blocked him from their Twitter because he would climb up their butts?
Well, I mean, all he did was challenge them on their fucking bullshit,
right,
and they're
climbing up their butts,
their open politics, man. T-Tac, man, comic books now are shit.
Yeah, I heard,
especially Marvel.
I didn't. I've read some comic books. I didn't read them a lot when I was a kid because my parents just never bought them for me. I was more into like the cartoons and the video games, and they had the trading cards at that point and the action figures and all that. So like I remember having the binders full of the X-Men. I can't remember what brand it was, but like Archangel was #1, and we were looking for the shinies and all that shit. And I remember collecting all that stuff, but I didn't have a ton of comic books. I didn't start actually going and buying those until I had my own money. When I late high school, like into college. And even then I only bought a few, but I do like reading them. I ended up getting that Marvel comic app, but I never read anything that was like recent. I would just read like the old Spider-Mans and stuff
the
like
old
that.
stuff, yeah. Sure.
So I don't know if I'd want to read the newer stuff based on what I've heard.
All right, I'm gonna throw something at y'all because I haven't been able to like really brainstorm this idea with anybody that like has an idea of what's going on here. All right, I have got a humongous collection of really collectible shit, right? So I've got about like 22 long boxes, right? And this is after I've like thrown away anyway a bunch of stuff, a bunch of just worthless shit, right? And I was thinking about doing my Patreon as like the for like just one example. I've got like DC Comic presents Superman and Green Lantern number 20. And that features the Cyborg's first appearance and the first Teen Titans, right?
Okay, yeah.
Right, and I've got it, and it's in at least a good 8.9 to a 9.3, right? Or I'd say 8.7. I even get I'll lower it to that. And ballpark it on eBay. That's probably about $130.
Not bad.
A good deal. And I was thinking, all right, so what if I got, guys, on my Patreon or whatever, and maybe like do a raffle every quarter, and like say like $20, $20 a month for 3 months, qualifies. If you paid a whole quarter, then you qualify for, and that's not the only thing I was thinking about. Raffling was like, I've got like 3 or 4 ideas, and that way, I could get some people. Do you think people would go for that? That's the question.
The way I would look at it is, why do people subscribe to you? Is it for your politics? Is it for your comics, or commentary about comics? So if you have people that are coming to see you about your politics, your views on politics, chances are they're not going to be quite as keen about getting a free comic book. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it doesn't quite relate in a way. Now, if you're talking about comics, say you're Captain Cummings and you offer that would be a great idea because you have people that have a common interest in that. Right. Otherwise, you have people like, well, I mean, I'll give the guy $20 because I like his content, but I really don't care about comics and who would I sell it to if I was going to get, win it? eBay is not always the best, and taking it to a comic shop, you're only get it at best maybe 30% of its value. So, it's kind of a odd. It can work in a certain light, and it can work badly in another, I guess.
Right. It's like a really narrow niche. That's why I was trying to kick that out there, because it's just an idea I was toying with.
I like the idea. It's just how it would play out with the arena that you're playing in is kind of right. Like, yeah, we're talking politics, and here you get a free bottle of Mountain Dew for listening. It's like, how's that work?
Well, I'm in earnest though. Everything would be like worth probably would be worth more than what they've invested in the channel. That was the idea. Because I've got like shit, and man, and there's nothing I can do with these books. I've got like, the first Deadpool, first printings, man. I got the Preacher. I've got all of those, man. Even
all the stuff that's really popular now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. That right when I was in that, in the business, there was some magical shit going on in the business, man.
That was the golden days for comic shops when you were in it. Because when I was in it, it was on like the decaying part of comics as a shop, as a brick and mortar place.
Yeah, and right. And then I think that I think the business is breathing its last, breaths of.
Marvel's just putting a nail in the coffin, is all.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say, is that I think the whole idea was to just, gear people towards digital, and then once, they kill the print version of the the books, and they'll go totally digital, and they'll fucking fire all Heather Ontos and all that bunch, and
well,
talent.
The problem with digital is, why do people collect comics in the first place?
Exactly.
There's a value to it, but also there's something, and this goes with anybody that doesn't read comics either. There's a kind of magic about holding a book, feeling the texture of the paper, even the smells if it's an old book. Having that in your hands is one thing. Seeing it on a computer screen, and some people might read on tablet or an iPhone, and even then it's like you're reading a comic. You're there to not only read it, but also to dive into the art of it, to see, like, what's the difference between Jim Lee's type of art and, say, Gene Colan. You look at the elements of the art and appreciate it, especially if you're really deep into comics, kind of like I am. You get into staring at each frame after you've read it and just soaking in the context of things before you read on to the next panel. Hard to do that in a digital format, especially if you're on a smaller device. Right. Now, I'm sitting here on a computer with a 44-inch TV screen attached to it. I could read a comic book awesomely if I wanted to, but it doesn't do it for me. I can't go into the toilet with a stack of comics, unload a brick, and get educated at the same time with a TV screen in front of me. I'd have to haul it. So digital is the death of comics in general.
Yep.
It really is. And even though they were touting it back when I was working in a comic shop, it's like, no, people want it for the value. People want it for something that is going to age, and then 20, 30, 40 years from now, be like, oh, well, I got this for $1.25, and now it's worth $10 or $150. You can't get that with digital.
Well, see, and this segues into what I was fixing to bring up because of TTAC, is that, see how the resurgence of, vinyl records in the past, 8 to 10 years has just, really just gone incredible. I mean, I remember when, people were like, yeah, get rid of your records, man, because it's going all digital, man. It's just going to be nothing.
Compact discs, man. Compact discs.
Exactly.
And then MP3s come out.
Exactly. It's exactly, man. And that's kind of the, that's kind of the nature of the beast, is like, as soon as they kill comics and they do go digital, there'll be a generation, 10 years from now, that'll be like, oh, well, we're printing a new comic, we're doing this experimental thing because, we'll be nostalgic and shit, Yeah.
Well, it kind of reminds me of Back to the Future Part 2, where Marty McFly goes into Cafe 80s and he goes up to the video games. Oh, Lone Gunman, sweet. So he shoots all the guys dead, and you have a very young Elijah Wood and another kid there going, you have to use your hands? That's a baby's toy. Same concept, Yeah. You used vinyl? That's outmoded. You had a phone with a cord attached to it? That's old-fashioned. It's like, man, that's the best fashion in my book.
I remember the corded phone back in the day. I never did do the vinyls or records or anything, though.
Yeah, my folks had milk crates just chock full of them. I mean, I think the one I remember most is there was a bunch of Johnny Cash ones, and then like the soundtrack to 2001: A Space Odyssey. I remember playing that one on a little Mickey Mouse portable, quote unquote portable turntable, and listening to that with my brother and sister when we were kids. And then the record broke, so that one was worth a good chunk.
Yeah. What orchestra was doing that?
I keep thinking it was like London Symphony Orchestra or something like that.
Who wrote that? That wasn't Haydn, was it?
I don't recall.
Squeezing my brain. So did you catch the Ben Shapiro thing, Silver?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so what did y'all think I love how like meta this shit's starting to get, because Base Stickman and Bike Lock guy.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
I know, man. I thought it was excellent. You know how this stuff is getting so weird. You know, and I seriously think that he is thinking about making that dude wrestle him.
Yeah. I think you could kind of see Ben's asshole kind of clench a little bit when Base Stickman came up, because the way he responded to him was real, just kind of like quick and to the point. Because I don't think he wants to be. I mean, there's not too much wrong with Base Stickman, but he's kind of, I don't know. They're kind of, he's kind of a white supremacist in a way, right? Like, or at least a nationalist.
Yeah, he's a
pretty heavy nationalist. Yeah. So, and I don't know if Shapiro wants to be associated with him, really. Yeah. So it was kind of funny to see his demeanor change a little bit when he went to respond to Base Stickman.
Yeah. Well, what I find funny is, you know, Lauren Southern was there as well as Tim Pool, so I could see this all set up.
Yeah,
you know, Base Stickman, Bike Lock Man, and then you have Lauren Southern as the hot chick in a bikini that carries the ring or the round number sign, and then Tim Pool is a ring announcer. That would be so badass.
Dude, and it's like, have y'all ever been on like 4chan and seen some of those pictures of Lauren Southern?
I've been on 4chan.
No, I've seen pictures of her sister though, or something.
No, dude. No. Okay.
I haven't seen her pictures on 4chan, but I have
been.
What
you're saying is I have to look up Lauren Southern.
She's quite beautiful. Yes.
In bikinis, is that what you're saying? Naked.
Leaving it to
boobies. No.
Ding. I'm not going to say anything like that, but there's a distinct possibility that might be true.
It may also well be photoshopped.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing like the real thing, baby.
That's right. That's right. Well, yeah, I think she's had some help from, you know, from the surgery, from surgeons or some shit. Anyway, hold on a second.
Cue furious typing.
Yeah, so you're gonna get me off track here, looking for nudes.
I'm not looking for nothing. I can't afford distractions tonight. My brain is already kind of scattered to the winds.
yeah, but that's what I was kind of driving at earlier, was when that dude was saying, you know, what do you think about me wrestling that, you know, the guy that hit me on the head with the bike lock. And I could see that the dude's, you know, mind is like, you know, I can seriously see him talking to his lawyer like, okay, we can, you know, let's sue him, you know, for like, you know, this amount of money, or he can, you know, wrestle me, you know, full submission.
Bike lock guy?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Here's the thing. As much as it's fun to fantasize about that stuff, if it really came down to it, it wouldn't be fun to watch. Because I've seen how big Base Stickman is, and I've seen how scrawny and flea infested Bike Lock Boy is, and it's just not going to be a fight.
No, it's not Bike Lock Boy, it's the victim. It's Bike Lock. The other is Bike Lock.
The guy who
got his head split.
That dude, the guy who got his head split. He's bigger than Stickman.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm thinking the guy that actually, you know, Mr. Professor who swings the thing. Yeah. That would have been no fun at all. I don't even know if I'd want to see a fight between those two, because it's kind of like guys on our side in a way, you know.
Well, not the Bike Lock guy. I was going to say the Bike Lock, you know, Bike Lock attacker. It would be hilarious if he fucking paid the money and prove what a chicken shit the motherfucker really is, man. I mean, really. It's like you catch that. See, the skinheads used to do the same thing, man. Right? They would let the chicks agitate, and then they would get their punches in, and then boom, they'd disappear. And that's exactly what this dude did. He had a chick and was in that dude's face, and she was yelling and shit at him, right? And he creeps in right behind her and pops that dude on the head with a fucking, you know, a sock with a bike lock in it, man. And then boom, he was gone. like a little bitch.
Well, that's part of the Antifa playbook. I mean, I've actually read. I can't remember where I've seen this. I wish I had it bookmarked, but it was actually kind of like a playbook for each individual block of Antifa. You know, the black block, the red block, yellow block, whatever. Like one group is specifically designated as the bait, the distraction, the nags that get in your face and cluck like chickens. And then you have the black block, which are the ones that are specifically designated to commit actual crimes and then disappear and fade into the crowd, and then nobody knows who the hell or what the hell is going on. But in Bike Lock Man's boys situation, he didn't count on good old 4chan to be autistic wonderkins to decipher the way that the angle of the moon was shining light on his face means that that this is his dimensions, and if you remove the mask and the power of Keck compels it, you'll find out his identity, and voila, we have the asshole. He is now being run through the court system. I remember seeing the video where his lawyer was being trolled in a press conference.
I saw that, man. That was hilarious.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, it was tasty. It was just epic Keck.
Epic. Yeah, and there's actually, from that algorithm that they use, they're writing a program. They said it was almost done to where they'll be able to, capture any facial capture that's covered and make out exactly what the person looks like now.
No, it's just it's right up there with investigative skills, like used with a "He Will Not Divide Us" thing with Shia LaBeouf.
Yes,
that was. I mean, I wish that game would continue. I mean, they did another round just recently, and it's a flag up on the wall with you can't really tell, by star position or sun position and whatnot where it's at. Somebody figured it out because they shined a blue light on the thing, and it was on the live stream that they found it, and it's like, how the hell do you find this kind of stuff?
Wasn't it like the noise of the train or something like that? Didn't they pick it up that way?
Something like that. I didn't read up as much into that as I did when they found the flag on the flagpole in like Tennessee or Kentucky.
Yeah, was that the first one where they tracked the airline?
It was the airline, the position of the sun, and the stars. And then they had a guy driving around honking a horn until people heard it on the live stream. Yeah. And then that night, the guy went out there and put a MAGA hat and shirt up in replace of flag. That was epic. That was,
it was great.
Mean, autism, weaponized autism. You just gotta love it.
That's the greatest shit on the planet.
And they could do the same damn thing for all of those Antifa people, like they did with. I can't remember the name of the professor. He is a professor. It was, but the guy with the bike lock.
Right. Yeah. He got outed and ousted, as they said. Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's nowhere he can go where 4chan cannot find him.
Well, his woman is that fucking Yvette Falarka. Yeah, they're fuck buddies, man. So you can imagine what kind of horse shit they can crank up, man. That woman, I don't know. I'm not going to say what I was saying to my wife earlier. So,
well, harpies played a role in, what was it, Jason and the Argonauts? He's a literal and not quite figurative harpy, because she'll just sit there and until you knock her out. I think someone pushed her down once or something like that, or she pushed someone else down, but she got in trouble. Physical confrontation at one point. Maybe it was someone else, but I could have swore it was her. She got in someone's face and physically assaulted someone, or the other way around, and someone got hauled off to jail on that one. But yeah, she's just a shrill little harpy that needs to be locked up and cooled off for a while. It's like, lady, calm your tits.
Well, yeah, and what amazes me is they are letting her teach fucking 4th grade children.
It's not surprising.
That's just terrible.
It's terrible, but it's not surprising. I mean, my niece went to a local charter academy, and it was a good school, but you know, I kind of had to question things when I heard two teachers saying, excuse me, but we're out of multicultural crayons. I'm like, what? What?
Dude, that's horrible.
What the hell's wrong with Crayola? You know, multicultural crayons.
Dude, that's wacky.
The times we live in.
Yes. Yeah, the old Chinese curse, man. It's burning bad in my brain.
May you live in interesting times.
We are. We are indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't remember shit being this crazy when I was younger.
None of us do.
No, man.
But, I mean, I don't know. All that started, like, all this kind of stuff started with, like, 9/11. I was like a sophomore in high school.
I would say
sitting in homeroom when that shit happened, I think.
I think the craziest bullshits happened around 2008, and that transition from Bush to Obama.
Yeah.
Because things really started to sink in, especially when Obama became president. It was almost like, you know, the left was like, hey, we got carte blanche to do damn near anything we want. Let's really stick at the students in school, make them dumber.
Man. And that's what sucks so hard. And, you know, and of course, you know, they backed the teachers union, which is like there's nothing you can do. I mean, the shittiest teachers on the planet, you know, can I mean, they just work forever. And there's nothing that can be done. You know, I want performance-based, you know,
making a meritocracy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Employment, because it's just, oh man, I've seen some fucking I taught GED for a while, and I mean, and I was working with some of the dumbest motherfucking people I've ever met in my life. You know, anyway, yeah, sorry about that.
Well, you know, back when I was in high school, which was like 92 to 95, they were just starting to touch into the multicultural crap, but it wasn't like anywhere near as vicious or volatile as things are today. And it just like, you know, you can actually have I guess you probably couldn't have like a European American club or a white club or anything like that. You know, I mean, it would be looked down on a bit, but you can actually have people, you know, say like, I was in Russian club when I was in high school because I took Russian for 2 years.
Cool.
No one had a fit about that. You know, there was the Asian Awareness Club, which everyone's aware that there's Asians around, but you know, it wasn't a real big deal. Nowadays, it's like if you said anything that questioned it, or like, why do they need it? You know, then you're like, oh, you're a racist. You're blah, 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 blah. It's like, no. It's like, you know, we're all Americans. We're all human beings. You know, instead of segregating us into little groups and fixating on what makes this group more special than that group, you know, that's the real racism.
Right.
You know, identity politics is the epitome of racism, and yet it's those that speak against it, like we usually do, that are called the racists, the white supremacists, and all this. And it's just like, no, it's people are people. They're human freaking beings. I happen to have white skin. I don't think I'm any better than anybody else, but because I speak out saying, you know, well, this group over here says that white people are evil. If I speak against it, I'm a racist. They're not. What the hell's wrong? What the hell's the deal with that?
It's amazing. It's like, does anybody remember, you know, right after 9/11, I thought that race relations were probably the best that I've ever seen them in my lifetime. And I grew up, you know, in the 60s. You know, I lived through the 70s, you know, as a you know, from my, you know, double digits into, you know, into my teens. And I, you know, I was able to see how things gradually were getting better.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's like I guess this whole thing, you know, with the Ferguson thing and the way that was just, you know, played politically, you know, the creation of BLM and things like that. It's just set us back fucking 40 years.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Martin Luther King had said that, you know, people should be judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. You say that to someone from BLM and they'll think that you're, well, obviously a racist and and that you're wrong. And it's like, wait a minute, the guy that was the spearhead, the tip of the spear in the civil rights movement, said it's not the skin that matters, it's the content of your character. I wholeheartedly agree with that statement, and yet I'm the racist. Yeah. It's like after a certain point here in the 2000s, like common sense, which really wasn't common anyway to begin with, just completely went bye-bye, and things went to Bizarro World, just to use a comic book reference, you know? Like, what the fuck? Back, right? Yeah. Tie one thing to the nether.
Yeah, see, I never really noticed any kind of, I don't know, the racial stuff. I went to an inner city school for like 7th and 8th grade, and I don't know, I never hated anyone, and there was racism in my family, like my uncle and, you know, my dad a little bit, my grandma, that kind of stuff, you know, but they grew up in
different times.
They grew up in a different time, and in areas and stuff where, you know, that was just prevalent at that point. So right. You know, I never really harbored any of that shit. And then my high school experience was more out in the country when I moved. Yeah. So I mean, there wasn't a lot of black people at my school. But yeah, I don't know. I just never really went through a lot of that stuff, and it was surprising when I started watching a lot of the stuff on YouTube a year or so ago, and actually started getting into this stuff. And I don't know, it blows my mind. And now I see it fucking everywhere. You know, like when you're oblivious to it, you don't see it. But when you see other people looking for things to be offended by and looking for, you know, racist stuff everywhere, and they're finding it because they're looking for it, then you start to kind of pick up on it. Like, I don't know if have you guys seen Logan?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love Logan. I'm sitting in the theater with my wife watching Logan, and there's a black couple next to us, right? And, you know, no big deal. I'm watching it, and then, you know, spoiler alert to the chat, sorry, but, you know, they meet that family, and I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, God fucking damn it, please do not kill the black family. Don't do this. And it just and it wasn't anything, like, it was fine for the story. Like, I liked it because he comes with a shotgun and, you know, clicks it and the bullet runs out. Like, I don't know. I liked the family. I liked the farmer. But all I could think in the back of my mind was the people next to me are going to think this is a racist thing because, you know, the white hero, the white character or whatever, you know, ends up getting the innocent black family killed, you know? But it's nothing. It's not a big deal. But the fact that I know people are looking for it now, I notice it. I don't know. It's just,
well, there's something to add. Even on top of that, even if they didn't die, you're going to have some black people that would say, "Oh, well, they needed a white person to save them," and be indignant about that. Yeah, I mean, I watched a video earlier today between Larry. It was like back in the '90s between Larry Elder and Coakley, who was a black supremacist leader, and that's all I kind of heard. You know, Larry Elder's fucking brilliant, and he's laying out point by point by point, and people were booing him. And then the black supremacist comes out and starts saying, well, we can't do nothing without the black or the white people doing things. And then they were like, this is only for, you know, for the black people. We don't have any white media here, because it was just one guy in a camera, and yet it did leak out to quote unquote white media. But it's like they get mad if white people do something against them, and then if white people try to save them or help, they're still bad guys. You just can't win.
Yeah. And someone in the chat said InfoWars suspected Logan being political, and I kind of remember that too, because they said what the bad guy's name was Donald, but apparently that was the guy's fucking name from the comics like forever ago. Yeah.
And he was a cyborg in the comics, and they had the Reavers. I was actually glad to see Pierce in the Reavers, because that's just like, they were like a group of baddies that weren't like A-listers, but they were pretty damn bad. Yeah. And it fit into the story. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they have to tie everything to politics nowadays, which is just, why can't a movie be just a damn movie?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, everything. I don't know. Like I said, everyone's looking for something to be offended and upset about.
It's the Oppression Olympics. Welcome to the decathlon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the things that's really helped bring the oversensitivity to things is the internet.
Oh yeah.
Because before, like in irates in my day, I guess you could say, there really was only like, well, going way back, only 3 channels. When I was a kid, there was only 3, and then became 4 news networks, and then cable news networks. And that was where everybody got their information from, and it was all through that little filter. Now you don't only have those networks and the cable networks, but you also have the internet to help spread that information around, whether it's through social media or what have you. And it helps amplify things because, like you were saying, you didn't see that stuff growing up.
Yeah.
But it existed. Now it's right in your face. When I was growing up, I made friends with a guy down the street from me. I mentioned this, I think, in a previous podcast. He would get bullied. I get bullied. He's a Hispanic guy. I'm a white guy. Didn't think anything about his race growing up, and we're still friends to this day. I mean, he's like his family's like a second family to me. And then I went to a private school. That was in a public elementary school. Went to a private school, and there was 170 students and only 2 kids there that were black. I didn't think anything of it. Not anyone, and not anyone else in the school thought really anything of it. Nowadays, it'd be like, oh, that's racist that there's only 2 out of 170.
Right.
But it was just their kids. They went to the same school as me. They studied the same shit as me. No big deal. I went to a public high school, and it was a heavier mix. I mean, we're talking 1,700 students. A full third of them were white. Another third was probably Hispanic, and then the rest was broke down between black and Asian. I didn't really think anything of it, but apparently there's people there even then that were making a big fuss about it, or thinking it was a bigger deal than it really was. Nowadays, it's like, oh, this is just the most diverse, which I hate the freaking word, diverse, because it's just thrown out with no meaning. Well, there's diversify for stocks, but there's diversity and celebrate, and it's like, really,
it's okay to have diversity, but if you're forcing it, that's when it becomes an annoyance. I think forced diversity is bad.
It's just like the saying goes, diversity is like a fart. If you have to force it, it's probably shit.
I'm stealing that, dude.
You could change the diversity to any other thing, but in this case, diversity, if you have to force it, it's probably shit.
Yeah. Well, they're doing that in a lot with TV shows and all that. I have a friend that's an actress or actor, whatever the hell the term is, but she's a little blonde white girl, so she has a hard time finding work with some of the shows just within the past few years, because I mean, being a little blonde girl, a little blonde white girl isn't what they want for these shows. They want all the diversity now.
And Kim Kardashian
looked down upon to have that. Yeah. So I don't know. She's feeling it in that way, where she used to be able to book some of the smaller gigs and all that stuff. Now she's turned away more. What's up, Occam?
Look who's here.
Hey, it's alive with the mic off.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm here, ready to go.
What's up?
Well, yeah, if you guys have been wondering where I've been for the past while, where I've barely been online on Twitter and all that kind of stuff, I don't know, I've been doing college, working, and all that kind of stuff. I just kind of got distracted from my stuff in general on here.
Well, as they say on Ferris Bueller's Day Off, life comes at you fast.
But like, here's the thing though, like, it's been like, I think it's almost been, and this is like really bad, and like I'm gonna get back on the back on track here soon, hopefully. So, but besides that stream that we did like a week or two ago on my channel, that would have been 2 weeks ago by now.
Right.
I don't think I actually have had a video on my channel in like a month.
The last one
bad.
The last one I remember was that one of that British store where,
yeah.
Hi, my name is Dave. I'm a heterosexual. I am here to serve your heterosexual needs. Eh?
Yeah, like that was the last one I had. And here's the thing though, like, I don't know. I just I've tried making, there was like 2 videos that I actually started making and made, and then I kind of watched through them and they weren't as good or as inspired, and they just weren't as good as some of the ones that I had been putting out. So I just scrapped them. But
the inner perfectionist comes out, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I had like basically like 2 videos that I was probably gonna do, and then I started them, and then I was like, no, this isn't as good as I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, I went through that back when I was making video. Like when I did a few response videos. So when I was doing that, I'd start one and get a little bit into it. Then I'm like, yeah, this isn't turning out how I like. So then I would just scrap it. And that's always kind of it's a good feeling when you scrap it a little bit, because you're like, all right, I wasn't going to put out something crappy. But at the same time, it's like, damn, I wasted all that time on, on this.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of been a combination. My lack of presence here has kind of been a combination of school, work, and then just a general, within the last few weeks, with the topics I was trying to do, just a lack of inspiration, and I just had to scrap some videos. So that all kind of added up to my
lengthy departure.
I don't know. Yeah. But I'm gonna try to force myself to get back into the swing of things, get a video going that I can actually, do good. That's, an inspired video that's actually gonna be worthwhile, and get back into the swing of things and not, let myself go another month without making a video again, because I can't keep doing that.
Well, on my channel, I have 2 rules. Number 1, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. And number 2 is real life takes precedence over YouTube life.
Yep. Family first.
Yep.
But yeah, my deal was like, just keep in touch with us, dude, and let us, I was like, God damn, he's got cancer, or he was killed in a flood or some shit,
Someone shoved him off a cliff, and the car is tumbling down the hill and then explodes at the bottom, and
he's been eaten by mountain goats right now, man. And shit.
Don't tell Bunty. Yeah.
Dude. So yeah, so did you catch that we had talked about the Ben Shapiro thing? His speech from last night. We talked about that a little bit. If you haven't, take the time. It's really worth. It was really, I think the total was like really more like, it wasn't 2 hours. Like
it's just under an hour, I think.
Yeah, 30 minutes of that was of that stream that they did was just dead air. So
wait, of his talk?
Yeah,
it depends on what
it was about half an hour of his about a half-hour long speech, and then about an hour-long Q&A is what I watched on his actual Daily Wire YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, there was something that
like 28 minutes into that he starts the Q&A, I think.
Right.
So you must have caught the what was it, Fox 10 Phoenix or whatever it is.
It was something like that. Yeah, and it was really started out with the lady was when she did start talking to her, the mic was just fucking pegged, and it was real distorted and stuff. And I'm like, shit, man, this whole thing's gonna sound like shit.
It was like the microphone was at the back of the room instead of up on the podium being fed into the stream, right?
Yeah, go to his channel, go to the Daily Wire, and you can actually watch like the actual.
Yeah.
See, he has a few clips up there too. So
yeah, I watched a bit of both. So I heard it with the crap audio as well as with the good audio, and then I watched the Ben Shapiro Thug Life video that was it Red Dragon put out. That was worth it.
Yeah, that was funny as shit, man. They were talking about thug life and shit. And I was like explaining to my wife, it's like, when that meep, 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 and the big doobie rolls out and the sunglasses and shit. That's so funny.
I think he even mentioned that, didn't he? Didn't he say something about?
He sure did. Yeah, thug life and shit. That was funny as hell.
Oh hell! Last year for Halloween, he dressed up with the sunglasses, the hat, the gold chains, and it wasn't a joint, but it was like rolled up like one.
Yeah.
So he's aware of the thug life thing and loves it.
Definitely.
How could you not?
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah, I see the. I just googled it. Shapiro's my hero.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what happens next week with Milo, though.
Oh yeah.
Now, if you guys had to listen to one, would you rather listen to Ben or would you rather listen to Milo? As far as the talks go.
Shit.
I think more and more I'd rather listen to Ben. I like Milo because I like that he's kind of a dickhead, and he kind of causes chaos in a way. But I don't know. I like Ben's a dickhead in his own right too, in ways because he still takes shots at people. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'd prefer Ben over Milo, but I still will listen to Milo.
The way I would look at it is, right, if I have two kinds of moods when it comes to politics. I have the pure analytical, playing it straight, this is what it is and blah, blah, blah. And then I have my mischievous troll side.
Right.
And whatever mood
chaos.
the chaos, the mischief, the getting a rise out of people just for the giggles. I have one or two moods like that. And so if I want to get information, I go to Ben. If I want to play little pranks or be a little naughty, not instead of being the Diet Coke of evil, just maybe the caffeine free of evil, then I'll go to Milo. It just depends on my mood, and sometimes it's just great to be a little bit of both.
Well, recently too, Milo hasn't put any he hasn't really done anything. So
I know he's on his book tour.
Yeah, has he been putting speeches out? Maybe I just haven't picked up on anything.
He's done a couple, I think.
Gotcha.
He's done a bunch of he did this thing that was on NPR. He did an interview with NPR and they didn't put it. They didn't.
Yeah, I saw that.
They didn't broadcast it.
And I think they did the same thing with what was it? Not BBC, but it was another one where he recorded it from seats outside of the studio lights and all that, and it was from his recording.
Yeah, so they couldn't take him out of context.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Oh, it's Dr. Drew.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the one. Yeah.
You did one with Dr. Drew? Really?
Yep.
I have to listen to that because I like listening to Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew. I remember it was ninth grade or something. I used to listen to Loveline. I'd fall asleep listening to it.
I'd listen to that from time to time, but my main thing that I liked Adam Carolla for was The Man Show.
Oh, yeah. I remember The Man Show.
Yeah. Classic stuff, man.
It's funny, too, and it's you remember how awesome it was to see girls jumping on trampolines? And now I see it, and I'm like, it's hot, but it's not this really did it for me back then. Come on. but at that point too, I didn't have the internet like we do. You know what I mean? So
oh man, back in our day, you know, if you managed to have cable, you know, you would just be happy if you got a scrambled channel where you might see a flash of something in the horizontal sync being all scrambled up, you know, on TV.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, Ira.
Yeah, I used to do acid and watch the Disney Channel scrambled.
Hold on, this is getting weird.
This is back in the 80s. You know, this is the 80s and 90s, man. It's
like, fuck were you watching?
Disney Channel, really?
The Disney Channel scrambled, man. It was like, yeah, it was excellent. It was all these beautiful colors and shit, and you know, and you would hear like
showing a little leg.
Fantasia, man. You know,
see, that was like weird because I was taking the conversation. At least I thought the conversation was moving towards what we're whacking off to, and you bring up acid and watching the Disney Channel.
Exactly.
Because I was getting ready to say, Occam, you don't know how lucky you are to. But at the same time, I want to say you're not lucky because I remember The Hunt back in the day. Like when you didn't have it at your fingertips, you had to get creative, man. So you had to find whatever you could do to get your rocks off. I think that's the right term. Yeah, I don't know, but that back in the day that was kind of fun, you know. And now it's just like it's so easy. All you got to do is go to Google and that's it. There's no searching. There's no hunt for it. There's no challenge.
Be like watching Showtime or some shit, man, and you be like, and there's some beautiful tits on the thing, and you're like jacking off and stuff, and it's like you're fixing to bust a nut, and it's like this dude's face comes on, and he goes, "No, man, no shit, no." You know, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, they cut Peter North going,
"Oh fuck, am I gay now?"
Classic 1980s Skinamax.
Exactly, man.
The way to think of it is just because people in our society don't hunt for food anymore. You go to the grocery store and it's all there at our fingertips. It doesn't make it any less good. In fact, it's better because it's easier to get a hold of, and there's a bigger variety of food instead of having to go out on a big long hunt and then.
But you appreciate it more after a big long hunt.
Yeah, you do appreciate it more.
Exactly. I agree, man.
You get hungrier from the chase, man, from the stalk and the kill type thing, you know, you get hungrier. That deer, you just automatically don't see the fur and the antlers and the hooves. All you see is a dinner plate with a nicely well done venison steak.
Sweet.
With potatoes.
Yeah, because what I'll do, I find myself doing it sometimes, is I will, in the back of my mind, I'll remember a clip from a porn or something that I saw years ago. So I will actively try and seek that out, you know? So like it kind of gives me that little bit of a hunt again, because it's not always easy, because what keywords do you use that aren't in a million other videos? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've done that before where I've just, you know, I've hunted something down that I saw 10 years ago.
I used to do that with rare movies, not porn, just rare movies. Like
rare pornographies.
There was a movie that was on Disney back in the early 80s or something like that. Just
Disney
to go back to, just so that irate feels a little better. But it was called The Dog Who Won the War. And I looked all over for it. Wow. And the thing was, it was actually in French. The title was in French, but it was redubbed for the Disney Channel. And I found out it was made in Quebec.
Was it a German Shepherd?
Saint Bernard.
Oh, okay, yeah, man, that one, yeah.
Yeah,
and what's the name of that?
The Dog Who Won the War.
Yeah, but there was a French title that went with it, and the dog's name
or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly.
But I ended up finding a copy of that online because you can't find it on VHS anymore.
You stopped the war?
What?
The Dog Who Stopped the War?
Yep. It was basically a movie where these two groups of kids didn't like each other, and these one kids, they made this giant snow fort. This is the thing I remember the most from it. And because when I was a kid with my brother and sister, we tried to replicate that fort, and it had like a secret slide that is like an emergency chute and all that. We thought that was cool as shit. So as an adult, I'm thinking, what was the name of that movie? So I look it up. I'm like, okay, there's a French, there's an English. So I'd start doing research, and I actually found the movie. And I used to do that a lot, find rare like TV movies and stuff like that that you just can't find any other way. The other one was the Rankin Bass TV movie with Burl Ives, The Bermuda Depths. I remember seeing that on TV like late night, like 1982, 83, because I'd had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. And Mom's watching TV, and I see it, and it had Connie Selica and Burl Ives and Carl Weathers in it, and I'm like, oh man, this is kind of trippy and demonic in a way, and it just kind of haunted me. So years later, I remembered it, and I'm like, well, I got to find this thing and see what it was all about. And these are really terrible movies.
Yeah.
But you remember them long after you've seen them. And so I would go on the hunt for these kind of movies. The hunt from is the part that made those movies just as special as remembering them from way back when.
Yeah.
You see, every once in a while, I'll have this, like, actually, there's like one song in particular. I can't even remember what it's called, but like, when I was like probably about like 10 or something, I just randomly, I don't remember if it was like in passing or if I was watching something, I heard this little bit of like a song, and I didn't know what it was called or whatever, but like one day, like a few years later, you know, I thought of that, and I was like, you know what, I want to find that song because it sounds like really, really good. And I was like, I got to find that full song. And then
next thing you know, it's Rebecca Black's Friday. And
no, that didn't exist when I was 10. But anyway, so I went hunting for this song, and I didn't know what it was called, and I just tried everything over the course of years. I tried like typing in different things on Google and tried to find it. Failed. And then one day, like I think it was like last year or like 2015, I accidentally found it while looking for it, but then I kind of gave up, and then it was when I was like finally giving up like forever, like I really want to find it, but I won't. I found it, and then I just listened to it nonstop. And then after I finally had access to it, like it was like at first it was really cool, but then it was like it just started wearing off, like. And then it was kind of like, wow, all those years spent looking for this, and now I actually have it. And now it's like, now that I have it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Imagine doing that every day, looking for porn. That hunt. That's what was fun about.
Well, you know, I capitalized on that in a way back when I was in elementary school. Didn't really know much about sex or anything like that. It just that, you know, ooh, boobies. And my dad had a collection, and I found it. And so in 4th grade, I decided to open up a library at school. 10 cents, and you get to read it for 15 minutes.
Dude.
And the principal found out before I got into the first 50 cents. So, you know.
Damn it.
But hey, it was me being a capitalist at a very young age. So my dad was both pissed and slightly proud. It's like, you know, I wish I had thought about that, but damn, Alan, you really shouldn't have done that.
I don't know if I told this story on one of these streams before, but and it sounds like bullshit, but I swear it's real. I had a kid sell me what was called a penthouse variation. So it was like it was like a quarter book basically. Like the quarter of the size of it. It was called Penthouse Variations. It was just smaller. And I used to wear a fanny pack back then. It was like 5th grade or something like that. And I would keep that thing at school in my fanny pack because I didn't want to leave it at home for my mom to find. And I would legit sell little pictures out of it for candy money.
Nice.
And eventually I got done reading all the stories and all that crap. And as weird and innocent as I was, instead of just like throwing it away and getting rid of it so I wouldn't get busted with it, in the back of my head, I had to, I don't know, I guess I almost kind of had to come clean. So I went out to the woods. I like drug it through leaves and got it all kind of messed up and muddy. And then I brought it to my mom and said I found it. So I could have just left it out there, but for some reason I felt like I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, but I felt like maybe that was coming clean, or that it wouldn't get pinned on me at that point if she happened to go out in the woods and find it or something. But yeah, that was my awesome story about my stupid little porn book. But yeah, I used to, like, capitalist right there, man. I used to sell the little pictures, and I remember the one kid getting in trouble because he kept it in his wallet. We were all retarded apparently. But he had a picture of this. He liked cowgirls, so it was this chick that was topless with a cowboy hat on, and he kept it in his goddamn wallet, and his mom found it, and he ended up getting grounded and all that for that. But yeah, that was my
Tits
cool story.
and poon for Tootsie Pops.
Oh, and I remember the first time seeing a vagina. It was like 4th or 5th grade. It was around that same time, and somebody brought in like a spread, like the centerfold, and it was just a chick, like, you know, spread on 2 things with another chick like coming up from the bottom of the lake, and we're like, what? We put our penis in that? You know, like really freaked out by the look of this thing. But yeah. Good times, man. Remembering that shit.
What was that, man? There was a ZZ Top song. It was just something about a naked cowgirl going across the ceiling, man. That is funny as shit. That reminded me.
Oh yeah.
And that hunt. I just remember there was this thing I saw one night, man. I was really messed up, man, and it fucking freaked me out. It was this claymation thing, right? And it was a Mark Twain story, and it was Mark Twain claymation talking to these kids, and it got like evil and shit, and it was this devil stuff, man. And it was like, I was like, holy shit, that is so weird. And I looked for it for years and years, and I found it here, and I just posted it, and it'll be on the link tomorrow. You know, after the stream is over. But you guys have got to see this, man. If you want to, you just watch it while we're talking. But it is crazy.
I had a similar thing to that with Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer.
Yeah,
I remember seeing back in the 80s. I think it was late 80s. I went to my cousin's, and I remember seeing it. You know, he had MTV on, and we didn't have cable at my house, so I'm like going there is like, all right, cool, get to see MTV, and there's 2 dancing chickens. You know, like roast chickens, and they lay an egg, and then they're doing this dance thing. And I was just cracking my ass up so much from that. And then like 25, 30 years later, I'm like, what was the damn dancing chicken thing? And I scoured YouTube, and I found Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer, which should have been obvious, but yeah, it's like every time I see that, it still cracks me up to this day.
That whole thing is stop motion, live action person stop motion, just
as well as claymation too.
Yeah, and had claymation in it too.
It was MTV gave it an award for like most creative video of the year or something like that. Set a standard.
I loved all his stuff, man. Games Without Frontiers is probably my favorite though. That's
Shock the Monkey, man.
Yeah, that's a classic too.
The Monkey.
The first claymation I was ever exposed to when I was like when I was a little kid, and that was like Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it had been that.
Yeah. Cheese, Gromit.
Yeah, it was like those. Like the one where they're going to space and the moon was cheese. There was like a sheep one where they had like a sheep rustling thing or whatever, and then I don't know.
Yeah, they actually turned that into a Shaun the Sheep. My daughter watches that.
Shaun the Sheep show.
Yeah,
yep.
I watched that when I was like.
What was is it 10. Mr. Bill? Is that the?
Oh no!
Yeah, I watched Mr. Bill back in the day.
Yeah, I used to watch the California Raisins, which is like one of my first claymations to watch. That and Weird Al Yankovic's parody song of Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I love the Weird Al Yankovic's songs and stuff.
Good stuff.
Awesome. He's awesome.
Yeah, I remember listening to that back in the day too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, T-Tac, man, you and Duel get kind of into that territory sometime, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. He's more of a legit rapper, I think. But yeah, I definitely like doing the kind of parody shit too.
I love the funny stuff, man. It's good.
Yeah. I'm working on one right now, but it's just a slow writing process at this point because it's more of a making fun of white people in a way. It's about white guilt. So I'm as I guess the term is cheeky. I don't know. As funny as I can make it, but still keep it kind of serious and relevant in a way,
Yeah. You cheeky monkey. Are you looking at my bum?
So I'm just
look at my drawings.
Yeah, but Occam, it's funny because you were saying, it's been a while since you put anything out. It's been like 6 weeks since I put anything on my channel. And that the last thing I did was with Duel. So I don't know. I feel like I had more time back when my kid was only like a month or two old. And now that she's like 10 months old and is up all the time, I never have fucking time to do anything.
No, yeah, but
at least you have a kid. You have a kid that you have an excuse for.
Yeah.
Well, you got school and stuff. I know how hard that is. I tried to run a business back years ago, like a website, selling shit online. And I was doing good until I got into school. Like I went back to school and then I, all the time that I had put into it, I couldn't keep up with it because of school. And I ended up having to, it was just like bleeding money and I ended up having to shut everything down. But yeah, school takes a lot of fucking time, dude.
It sucks because I would have some videos up if I just hadn't made a few crappy videos in between the last, like the videos I have been making recently were just, I had to scrap them. I couldn't use them.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm gonna make a good one and I'm gonna post it soon.
You had a strap on.
What? Wait, what? What are you talking about?
What's happening?
I'm just fucking with you, man.
I think irate prostate's infection went from his prostate to his ears or something.
It's the damn Disney Channel.
It's that syphilis.
What was that? Clammy Herpalades? What?
Wait, that sounded familiar. Do that again.
Stooges.
No, the
Curly.
The reverse speech you just did.
What? Yes, what? That's what I don't get you for.
Okay, you were just doing it randomly. It's like it sounded like I couldn't remember what song it was or something. Somebody had put like reversed language in. You almost mimicked it exactly from what I remembered.
Why you do this is when this is done, download it and then play it backwards, and then we'll see what it says. Anything.
I loved Curly. I know that. Sweetly. Yeah. I used to love the Stooges.
Nice guy, eh?
Did you guys actually like the movie? Was it the Coen brothers? I think did it.
Oh, the Stooges movie.
Yeah. Did you guys like that?
I actually own a copy of that on DVD.
I know people hated it, but I actually liked it. I think I don't know. It felt like it was in the spirit of the Stooges, and
I really feel like they did a good job modernizing it. Like,
I think so too.
Good. I enjoyed it.
See,
and I think they just don't translate well to this time, which is probably why it didn't do well. But I feel like if you liked the Stooges back in the day, like they did a pretty damn good job, if I remember correctly. It's been, been a little bit.
I was going to say,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I read Mo's book when it came out, and it's just, I cried, man, when he talked about Curly, in his stroke. He said he was just he was moving his mouth up and down, and he wasn't saying anything. He was drooling out on one side, and it was just.
I don't want to hear this. Come on.
I cried like a damn baby, dude.
Yeah, I love Curly. I don't want to hear that.
I do too,
it always bothered me when Shemp would be on. I'm like, fuck you, Shemp. Bring back Curly. and then they put Curly Joe out. It's like,
Curly Joe was the worst. No, wait, no, it wasn't Curly Joe. Curly Joe wasn't the worst. Who was that guy in between Shemp and Curly Joe? No, there was another guy in between. There was another guy in between Curly Joe and Shemp.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He was the worst Stooge. Actually, because Curly Joe was never in the original Stooges show. He was in he appeared live with them afterward, and there was like an animated series that he was in.
Right.
But Curly Joe had never appeared in the actual Stooges, but there was one last Stooge after Shemp died that appeared on the actual Stooges, and he ended up quitting and he was like the worst stooge of all time. I got to look him up. I forgot who he even was. He was that bad.
Was it Emil Sitko? No. Yeah, I don't know. I'm
looking up all stooges on Google just to like,
Joe Besser. Joe Besser, dude.
Yes, Joe Besser. He was the worst.
Correct. Holy shit! I totally blocked him out, man.
Joe Besser sucked.
And there's Joe DeRita.
For only 2 years.
Yeah, that's Joe DeRita's Curly Joe. That's right.
Yeah.
And Mo said that dude, like, he saw him naked one time. He said the dude didn't have a dick, or he couldn't see it. He said it looked like a naked woman and shit. It was weird. I swear to God, you read the book. It's excellent, man.
Maybe he was transgender.
You said Curly Joe didn't?
Right.
Or Joe Besser?
Was that peanut hiding between balls and
limbs? Curly Joe. No, man, no, it was Besser. No, you're right. It was Besser.
Really? Besser?
Yeah. I can't. It was weird, man. It was
funny because like Besser, like he was terrible. I've seen like some of the episodes with Besser in it. He was a lousy stooge. They hated working with him, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say that there's a movie called "It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World." I mean, it had everybody that was funny in like 1961 or some shit like that was in it, and it's a color movie. It's a great film, and they're in it. They play the firemen, and I can't remember if it's DeRita or if it's Shemp, but I think it was Shemp was already dead. I think it was DeRita. It's a Mad, Mad World.
Like, I think it's funny though because like since Joe Besser was so bad, I think most people don't even remember the shorts with Besser in it because he did shorts with them for the show, but like most people don't remember him. He's like the one forgotten stooge. Like everyone totally can remember him out. Mo, Larry, Shemp, Curly, and even Curly Joe, but like no one remembers Joe Besser.
Yeah, I've never. That's news to me. I've only ever known of the ones you named there. I didn't know there was a Joe Besser.
The only reason I know is because like, especially when I was like when I was a little kid, I was a huge like Stooges fan. So like I would watch like almost like all the Stooges shorts, and I saw some of the ones with Besser in it and stuff, but like he was never as good as like Shemp or Curly.
Yeah, I pretty much refused to watch any of them that didn't have Curly in it. I mean, that was just
no. I like Shemp. I got used to Shemp.
I don't know. Yeah, see, it was one of those things where it was like I could either watch Curly or I could get used to Shemp, and why would I get used to Shemp when I could just watch Curly?
Yeah,
that was
Shemp has his moments though. Shemp has a certain style that like also really works with the Stooges though. I like
he was less aggressive. I think he was more of like Curly. You could smack Curly and Curly would get back in your face, you know. And I don't remember Shemp really doing that, did he? He was more of a bitch, wasn't he? He got smacked around a lot more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Curly was more like a he would get pissed at like inanimate objects and shit, man. It was funny.
Yeah. Oh, you know? Yeah.
And I remember the plumber, man, that was a classic too.
The getting caught in the pipes and stuff. And
he builds the little jail cell out of pipes around himself, man. It was funny as shit, man.
When I was younger, there was this Stooges short, and to this day, this is like remembering back to it. It's one of the funniest little bits for some reason. Probably just I don't know. It was like he was at a rich fancy person's house. Curly was. There was like a whole big feast. There's a bunch of people around the table eating, and then like he picked up a sub sandwich or something, and every time he would move it toward his face, the end of it would open up like it was a mouth or something.
Yeah, it was like a fish. There was a fish in it, man. Yeah, exactly.
Well, like, and then like eventually, like he kept doing it, and then he kept pulling it back, and then it would shut. And then like every time he would put the sub closer, it would keep doing it. And then eventually, I think he just went and tried to take a bite out of it anyway, and then like the sub bit his nose or something. I don't remember.
Well, and they used and they did the same thing with the clam chowder. It was the same fucking exact gag almost. And the clam started squirting stuff at him and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't it eat his spoon as well? Like every time you throw throw an oyster cracker in there or something like that, and then it would eat it.
Yeah.
And then he started getting like really pissed at it, and then he just like it ate his spoon. And then
see, it's like people, you know, it's like pseudo intellectuals will tell you that they prefer the Marx Brothers, right? Because it's more cerebral humor. The truth is that those people are full of shit. Okay, they've never watched a fucking Marx Brothers movie, man. The Stooges are it.
Everyone
I'm throwing it down right now.
If you want, I gotta say, I'm kind of partial to Abbott and Costello.
Oh, they were great too, man.
See, I've watched a little bit of Stooges, but not really a lot, because I always grew up with Abbott and Costello more than the Stooges. Although I did get back into watching some more of the Stooges stuff after watching Farscape, simply because the only way that John Crichton could find the right wormhole to his home Earth, was the images of the Three Stooges that would pop up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the Three Stooges was the way home. It was almost like the Ruby Slippers of Farscape was the Three Stooges.
Oh, dude. I've never seen that, and I've heard so much good stuff about it. I might have to check that out.
It's definitely one of the best sci-fi shows that Sci-Fi or Sci-Fi has had since Babylon 5.
Yeah.
Oh, some really good. These were ones that I saw on TV when I was a little kid that I would watch, and these were British shows, but these shows are still some of my favorites, especially of British shows, and they really stood out to me. Mr. Bean, for sure.
Oh yes.
That was just hilarious. Watched that when I was a little kid, and that was British Stooges to me.
I still laugh every time I see Mr. Bean with a big giant turkey on his head.
Yeah.
that is awesome.
Yeah, I didn't watch a lot of Bean, but I watched some. And one that stuck out to me is he goes down to the beach and he needs to change into his swim trunks, and there's a woman laying out, or someone's laying out there, and he's
actually a guy.
Is that what it is? A guy? Yeah, he goes through this whole thing of trying to change so he's not naked in front of him, and once he finally accomplishes it, the guy gets up and he's blind.
But no, actually, that episode inspired me to try that in real life, and I actually managed to undress my pants the exact same way Bean did somehow.
Really?
I thought you were going to say it was a trap.
No. After I watched that episode, I just felt like I had to try to do the same thing. So, I actually tried that once, and it worked. I don't know.
It's funny.
But anyway, another one is another Rowan Atkinson one, the Black Adder.
Oh yeah.
That Black Adder is actually really funny. And that would have been pre Mr. Bean,
yeah, that was a classic
that he would have done.
Yeah, I don't know Black Adder at all.
I only remember very little of it, but yeah, it's it's Rowan Atkinson, so the humor is definitely there. The British humor. I grew up watching Are You Being Served?
I know of it. My what was it? One of my teachers, my drama teacher or whatever, had us watch Are You Being Served or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny. It's not all I like the slapstickiness of Bean, but I know a lot of people are real, and this might get me shot in the face, but I know a lot of people love Monty Python, but I was never huge into Monty Python. I don't know. There's some things that I thought were funny, but I don't know. Some of the British stuff is too off for me, I think. I don't know. It doesn't align with me comedically.
Well, I loved the Holy Grail, but The Life of Brian was kind of disappointing to me in comparison. And then the skit stuff, it was kind of hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
I really like some of the.
Yes. Sorry, I'm reading the chat too.
I really like some of the humor that was in the Holy Grail. One of the things that stood out to me was just some of the stupid stuff, when they were arguing about the migrating coconuts or whatever, and the
weight the weight of an encumbered sparrow, all that. What was it? Yeah, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another British show that really stood out to me that I watched a lot of when I was a little kid, and I've seen every episode of every season of this, and they're still making this, I think, kind of, because they came out with a 9th and 10th season within the last decade, and this show's been going on since like the early 90s, but Red Dwarf. I absolutely love that show. That show's fantastic.
Yeah, that was on PBS for the longest time, man. It was that's a classic British sci-fi.
Yeah, I've watched a little bit of it, but it's been so long since I've seen. I don't remember anything of it.
Yeah, Occam, you were like born like 30 years too late, man. I remember like me and this dude when I was in like 7th or 8th grade, we'd like our whole Monday would be like talking about breaking down. We'd first half of the day would break down what happened on Saturday Night Live, right? Because that was right when it just started, you know, with Chevy Chase and that whole bunch. And then the second day, the second half of the school day, we talk about Monty Python. Because they were running, you know, that I love Monty Python so much, man, and it was, you know, it's like I'm an old motherfucker, so but, you know, you'd have dug it, man. It's like
a friend of mine is such a big Monty Python fan that he got the VHS of Monty Python at the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh yeah,
and there was a guy that was actually featured in the video. He dressed up in a Gumby outfit. He got my friend got his VHS copy of Monty Python at the Hollywood Bowl from the guy wearing the Gumby costume in the actual video.
Oh, that's killer, man.
So it's kind of like Videoception or some weird thing like that, but
yeah. Videodrome.
You know.
Yes.
That's he also cool, has man. Like all the audio, you know, like the radio show or whatever of Monty Python plus DVD collection of
those audio things are they're just a TV show, man. It's just
pretty much
and you know, Hollywood Bowl is just a bunch of, you know, it's them doing skits from their TV show.
Yeah, like Spam and the Parrot.
Yeah, exactly. The Parrot, man, that's a classic.
You know, oh, it's such a classic that there's a website called 419 Eater. It's an anti-scam site for those Nigerian scams, you know, that you get an email. And what the guy's purpose is to get these guys to delay these scammers so that they're not scamming anyone else. So he actually convinced one of these scammers that he would give him a buttload of money if he could recreate the dead parrot sketch from Monty Python. And it had to be a professional looking production. And so these guys in Nigeria actually did it. The guy had said, okay, you do this video and I will pay all your bills. And so they made the video and they sent him like bills for the suits that they were wearing with like $800 for like a $15, you know, blazer and coat and all that. And the guys tried charging him like $6,000 in the end, and he didn't pay them, but he scammed the scammers. It was a hilarious damn thing to hear a guy in a thick Nigerian accent go, "The parrot's dead." It's not, you know.
It's stunned.
It's merely sleeping. You know?
Man, that's you know, I've been dealing with those dudes that have been calling me and shit. So I'll have to give these guys take some notes because they called me back the other day and I wasn't set up, and I don't know. I couldn't keep the guy on long. As soon as I told him I didn't have a credit card, he was gone.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm using PayPal to, you know, it's like, yeah, man, you have my PayPal, you know, it's just, I'll send you the money, you know, and anyway, so.
I love messing with telemarketers, but usually the ones that are scams, I really mess with. Like, one guy called here and was like trying to sell me like aluminum siding or vinyl siding or something like that. And he went on the whole like 6-paragraph spiel about how great this shit was. And I'm like, really? do you have this on your house? And he's like, oh yeah, I've had this on my house for like 6 years, and it's not faded, it's not torn, it's not stained, it's not this and that and this, that and the other thing. And I let him finish, and then I'm like, well, why would I want the siding on your house? Click.
That's cool. Yeah, check out my stuff. I'm not gonna regurgitate it because like the people that follow me and stuff, they have heard me talk about this shit so much. It's like I'm not gonna torture them anymore. Yeah. It's purely a voluntary thing. So you're welcome.
Yeah, I watched a video where it was one of the scammer guys, and they were doing something where they would you would end up giving them access to your PC, and then they would essentially lock it down and then force you to pay to unlock it. Well, he turned it around on the guy and was able to lock, like, it was like a half hour long, and it was really like the suspense, like just like sitting like, I know he's gonna fuck this guy. So it's like, it was interesting to listen to. But
I think I know exactly which one you're talking about too.
He does something where he's able to get in and like change the BIOS password or something crazy like that, and bricks the PC.
It was the Windows disk key password, and then he changed the BIOS password too on the boss's server.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. So the guy's like, he starts out like, oh, please, I just got this job. I'm just trying to feed my family. And he's like, well, fuck you. You're scamming all these people. And the guy turns on him and he's like, well, fuck you too. Fuck you. Yeah. It was really funny to watch though. Like, just to listen to people kind of get justice on someone like that, you know?
Well, the beauty of it was it didn't just screw the boss's computer. The boss's computer was the server for the entire office. So as soon as he nuked the BIOS password on it, everybody's computer terminal in that whole scam center went down at the same time. And they're like, like, what the fuck is going on?
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was great. Hey, Stooges, what's up? Occam's got the Stooges going.
Oh, yeah.
London Attack Manhunt, huh?
He gone all fancy on us.
So I'll pull that up.
It's one of my favorite bits from the Stooges when Curly has to go take the witness stand, and the guy's like, raise your right hand, take off your hat or whatever, and then like every time he keeps like having to put the stuff in the other hand, and he keeps having to retell him to do everything.
Yeah, that's funny. See, I was in my senior year, I went into drama. And we actually did, it was the Marx Brothers, Animal Crackers, and I was Harpo, and getting to do that slapstick type shit is so much fun. I had the trench coat thing that he wore, and I had all these props in like all the different pockets. And there's one scene where I can't remember the guy's name. Who was the it wasn't the serious one, it was the Italian dude. Crap. There was Groucho, there was Harpo, and then there was the other one. Was it Zeppo? Zippo? Yeah, whatever. So he was asking for a flashlight, but he kept calling it a flash, and he said it in a weird accent. So Harpo kept misinterpreting. So I ended up pulling out like a fish and a flask and like all this stuff, and it was kind of I don't know, but doing all that slapstick shit is so much fucking fun.
See, actually,
and I didn't have to say a word either, which was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of that, in my freshman year of high school, there was a variety show, and I actually wrote an original script for a kind of a Stooges style. I was trying to like stylize it after the Stooges, and there's like I made it for like 3 main characters, and I actually got to like do this at the variety show.
Cool.
And it was like a skit, and me and 3 other guys did it, and then there's like the restaurant owner. And basically the premise of it was there was
focus.
Trying to figure out how to take the screen share away. Sorry about that. Okay. Anyway, we were wandering out, and we were without like jobs. We were jobless, and we only had so much money left. And I was kind of playing the really stupid one. I was kind of like the Curly of the group.
Right.
And we only had so much money, and then they found out that I had been buying lottery tickets again for like the jackpot and stuff. And then they were getting all mad at me or whatever. Like, you can't waste what little money we have left on a lottery ticket. And then I point out that there's a restaurant like not too far in the distance, and that we should try to get jobs there so we can actually earn more money. So then we end up going over there, and the guy hires us that owns the restaurant. And just to be funny, for some reason, in the script, I called the restaurant the Miracle Cafe. And then it was like the slogan that we gave it was like, if we serve you good food, it's a miracle. but anyway, so we ended up messing some stuff up in there, and I had a funny bit where there was like a tossed salad thing, and we scared away the customer, and I was like, don't forget your tossed salad. And I had like this bowl, and I had cut up all these like green pieces of construction paper, and I just got to throw like the construction paper at them, and it was just fluttered through the air at them and everything. It was just kind of funny. But there was like some jokes in there about food, and it was like a fly in my soup reference and all that kind of stuff. And anyway, we ended up scaring the customer away, and the restaurant owner was upset, so he fired us. So I gave him a business card that I had in her hand for some reason, in case he ever changed his mind. And then when we left, we saw a paper stand out there, a newspaper stand. So we took a newspaper out, looked at the lottery numbers, and I realized that they were the lottery numbers that I had chosen.
Winning numbers.
So, yeah. So I realized that we were going to be rich and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, where's the ticket so we can claim our money? And I reach into my pocket and pull out the ticket, but it wasn't a ticket. It was the business card.
Yeah.
The business card. And then all of a sudden, like, you could hear from the restaurant in the skit, you know, the restaurant owner going, yeah, I'm rich or whatever. Like, I don't have to work in this dump again, and like that kind of stuff. And then
what a shithead. He was going to run off with the money.
Then they kind of just chased me off the stage, and that was like the end of the skit. But like, I don't know, that was just like my kind of a.
Yeah, I like that stuff. Like, I've done some on screen or like on camera type acting, and I've done some stage stuff, and it's all a lot of fun. And I play D&D, so every couple weeks I get to be an asshole in that, and kind of, you know, act out stuff. But yeah, I like doing that shit. It's a lot of fun. Have you guys ever seen Stella? That's one that's not, it's not a skit show, but do you know who like David Wayne and Michael Ian Black and Michael Showalter are?
Oh yeah, from the state.
And they did like Wet Hot American Summer and all that.
And Reno 911.
Did they? They did that?
Michael Showalter guest starred on it, I guess.
Oh, okay. But they did a show. I guess they used to do like a 3-man stand-up routine called Stella, I think. And they actually did a show on Comedy Central for one season. And I fucking love it, man. It's hilarious. You gotta, I don't know, if you guys are kind of into that shit, you need to.
Does it have that kids in the hall kind of vibe to it?
Kinda. It's brilliant in how stupid they are. Like, one of my favorite things they do, like in the first episode, is they point and they're like, hey, look at that, and they walk towards a brick wall, go to the other side of it to look at the sign on the other side. So that's the kind of, you know, obviously they wouldn't have been able to see it, but that's the kind of humor. It kind of reminds me of like slapsticky, like, I don't know, brilliant and it's stupid,
right?
But it's great. I don't know, I love it. So if you like the Wet Hot American Summer type shit, you should check out Stella. It's good shit. I don't know where you'd be able to find it. Like, I bought the DVDs back years ago, but yeah, it's good shit.
It's kind of cool. I've got a Roku, and it's a Roku 3, and like you can like ask it questions. You know, it's like give me Stella, and it'll pull up everything that's got Stella. It's pretty cool, man. So I love it. I love my Roku. That's what I'm streaming on our TV right now. So I always look at myself and, you know, my stuff and beautiful high definition.
Yeah, I think I have a I think mine's a Roku 3. I like the Rokus. I gave up cable fucking forever ago because I got sick of paying for it. Like I was literally paying for cable so I could watch South Park, and then I realized that they had South Park Studios back then. So I'm like, why am I paying for cable when I can just watch South Park online for free?
Stream it. Yeah.
So yeah, I ended up killing that, and then we got the Roku just for Netflix because back then it was they had it lumped. Like they barely had anything on streaming, but you could get like the DVD every whatever. So I remember doing that, and then they ended up splitting it out, and then Hulu came around and Amazon and all that. So yeah, I've been on a Roku for years and years. I was doing it before it was cool.
Yeah. And I got a buddy of mine just gave me his. He didn't like it, and I was like, okay. I was like, sure.
Yeah, it's good shit.
I love it. Love that thing.
Love that thing.
Oh, there's you mentioned Michael Showalter and all that, and remind me of the state. There's like 2 skits that just keep sticking out in my mind. There's one that's $240 worth of pudding. And then I dip my balls in it. Yeah, I have to look it up. But yeah, $240 worth of pudding, and I dip my balls in it. I think it's called Louie. I think was the name of the skit.
Yeah, I've heard of the state. I've never actually seen it.
It was on like MTV or something like that back in like the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, it says between 93 and 95.
Yeah, and then they did a special on, I think it was on CBS or something like that. And I remember seeing that. That was like my first introduction to it. And the main guy, I can't remember his name. And if you saw him, you'd be like, I've seen that guy in a bunch of shit. It was this one thing where it's like saying things in a funny way or something like that, and it had to do with like gummy bears, and like for the bears. Yeah, it said it in a really like Lenny and Squiggy type voice.
Yeah, Jody Gasso. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we would love to tell you it's beautiful as well. Love it very much. Fantastic.
Sounds like you got a mouthful of hot shit.
Yeah. Swallow.
You know who always surprises me with how funny their skits are? Tomska. Because every time, like, I'll go a while without watching like a Tomska video, and then like I'll go to his channel, and then I'll watch like a skit, and I'll start out and I'll be like, I doubt this will be like that funny, and then like it'll just completely surprise me, and I'll just be laughing out loud like the whole time.
Tomska.
Yeah. Tomska.
Have you guys not heard of him?
No, I've never heard of Tomska.
He's a pretty famous British. Thomas Ridgewell is like his full name, but his YouTube channel is Tomska. He's like a 4 million subscribers, I think.
4.65. Wow.
I would have never expected you to be in like to the dry British wit, Malcolm. I just did for some reason it just didn't fit with you. I'm being totally ridiculous.
Yeah, I know.
It's sarcastic.
See, you poed me there, you dick. I'm tired, man. It's been a long week. I had to drink a Monster to be able to actually function for this.
Hell, I'm already do half a 2-liter Mountain Dew, so I feel you, man.
You're a new daddy, dude.
The Tomska sketch I thought was the most funny that I've seen recently, and I guess I haven't really watched his videos in a while, but like it was like a French alien invasion or something. But I was laughing so hard through that one. I just couldn't stop. Like people in the other rooms like were wondering what was happening to me because I just couldn't stop laughing.
Or is he being murdered?
I forgot what it was called. I think it was called I'm gonna look it up.
Lesbian.
The Alien. It's the Alien. But it was like really funny. Like that one surprised me with how funny it was. Maybe it's just me, but like that one was like I was uncontrollably laughing through that one. You have to watch it. It's Le Alien by Tomska.
Tomska.
It was posted 11 months ago, so it has been a while since I watched Tomska, because I remember when the last time I was really on his channel, that was his newest video. So it's been a little while. I need to go back and watch some of his stuff. But I've been a fan of his for a few years.
Yeah.
What?
I was going to say, speaking of YouTube, it was like Worski's back.
They had Jim on today.
Yeah, they should be doing more regular streaming and stuff during the day.
Well, it's like them and Dave Rubin just kind of went off into the wilds chasing Bigfoot. They found him, come back, and here they are.
Yeah, Worski's were in Portugal for 2 weeks because Andy's sister was getting married.
Yeah.
So that's where
people, they're Portuguese and Polish.
That's a hell of a mix.
Yeah. And Ruben, for some reason, goes off the grid for months at a time sometimes.
Detoxing is good.
Yeah, he said he was like just unplugged from everything, like all social media and shit, and for that month, and was just hung out on the beach with his husband and their kids and shit, and he said he came back with a beard.
Yep.
Either that or is eating out Bigfoot's butthole, but
I like him with the beard. He looks less chubby. Not that I don't like chubby people, but because I'm a chubby person. But no, I like his beard. It looks cool.
Yeah.
He gets to retain his man card because of the beard.
Yeah. Be the beard, yo. Yeah. Did you guys hear? I won that. I don't know if you guys follow the Beard Barian and Fright Supremacy and Angry Pepe or anything like that. You guys know who those dudes are?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. They had a stream where they were raising money because Angry Pepe and Fright Supremacy or Ghastly, they are they're in Texas, like in Houston area. So they were getting hit with all the flooding and all that stuff. And so they were raising money to give to that mattress dude.
Right.
And
was that when they were in Cairo? Where they said they were in Egypt and shit?
Something like that. That was one of their actual videos they did.
I was actually in that stream for about 40 minutes last week. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they were doing the one, and they were raising money for the victims and all that. And while they were doing that, Beard Barian was designing in a hat, a Be the Beard hat, and if you donated $5, you got put into a drawing, and I ended up getting drawn. So he's sending me the prototype hat.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking cool. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's be neat. I don't know where that came from, but yeah, good times.
Yeah, no, it's talking to YouTube, man. It's like it'd be a good way to wind up the hour, because we all do YouTube and
I sort of do YouTube.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about what to do with stuff that kind of seems like it's stale or stagnant. And I had done this, I was like all fired up about this movie, this horror film called Drag Me to Hell.
Yeah.
And, so I did, I did a lot of work and it took me like 2 weeks to get this damn, video done. Right. And it was at the end, I was just like, I was so fucking pissed off. I was just like, I just went ahead with one of those robot voices with my script and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I cranked it out with that, and I don't know why I said that. I was just saying, I just, if you've got some material, man, and that's something you might want to think is just get a robot to do your fucking, do the voiceover and crank it out, man.
This is not the world that George Jetson envisioned back in the 1960s. Damn it.
Oh man, I love that. I love that music, man. It's a great song.
Do 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 do.
Yep, it's great jazz.
So okay, can you guys hear this if I play it?
I don't know.
Got to play it first.
No. This is one of those things where you're gonna have to. It doesn't pick up your audio, so you're gonna whenever Whitey and them do this, they have to put their mic next to their speakers in order to hear. And that's just because of, I think, the way Google Hangouts works. If you were to use like OBS, you'd be able to pull the audio through. But yeah,
well, if you use there's a program that you can use that will you can virtual wire it. So
really?
Yeah,
you output and puts it through your mic.
Yep, it's kind of. I mean, you can kind of do something like that with Audacity, but this is one that just swaps your mic for your speaker or something like that.
Yeah.
And
I've actually used patch cables before, and
just
ran my mic straight into, or my output straight into my mic before, to record things. Back before I knew about like OBS and all that, in order to record something that that was playing on my desktop, I would do that.
Yeah. Now can you guys hear it?
Let's see.
Yeah.
kind of.
Real faintly.
Oh. I don't know.
What are we watching here? Oh, is this the?
This is the alien.
Tomska.
Spell Tomska. Tomska.
Yeah.
Hey, I came as fast as I could.
Should have put it in full screen.
Nothing. Everything's
How does
fine.
it work?
You should go. You said there was an emergency and that you needed my help right now. I did not say there was an emergency and I needed your help right now. Sammy, there's an emergency and I need your help right now. That was a joke. This is not a joke. That was also a joke. No, it isn't. Whatever you do, Sammy, don't let the commercial. Fine, I'll go. Bonjour. Who is that? That is an alien that I have captured. You're welcome. It's clearly human, Tom. See? What's this saying? I don't know. Because it's an alien. French. It's French. Oh, where's he gone? Oh, look, he's gone. So everything is fine and back to normal. You can leave now. Also, do you like my new lamp? Oh no, Sammy, the alien is back. You should run away before it drinks your blood. That's a vampire. He's a vampire? Sammy, oh no. He's not a vampire.
You're
or an alien. French. Well, if he's not an alien, then how do you explain this anal probe I found?
Called it.
No, with that attitude. No. He's not an alien. He's just got car keys. For a space car. And snails. In a space jar. Sexy underwear. You mean a space bra? A metal pole. Well, that's a space bar. A bottle of wine. From a space bar. And a laptop. Yeah. With a space bar. Tom, how did you find this alien? Well, that's actually kind of a funny story. You see, I was on holiday in France, and I got super drunk, and I kidnapped a French guy, and oh my god. Thing we can do. That's pretty good. Merci. Merci. Pitié pour mon faible. Nous allons nettoyer cette... Merci de m'avoir libéré, camarade.
I don't know. That was
crazy, man. I like that. That's good.
You guys ever heard of
the first time I watched that? I don't know. I couldn't stop laughing like way back like 11 months ago when I saw that.
Are they Canadians?
Another Laval.
They're British.
Okay.
The Tomska's British. I don't know about the other guy.
Have you guys ever heard of Julian Smith?
Nope.
Like, he did shit years ago. He did the hot Kool-Aid and all that stuff.
That name's ringing a bell, dude.
Yeah, he's the weird looking dude with the mouth, and he did
yeah, that goes down.
Yeah.
You know,
like named Mr. Timn. It had an N after the. I don't know. He's funny, but he hasn't done shit in like 8 months. But he used to do sketches and stuff like that, and they were always really funny.
It's Trump's fault, man.
Do you know who doesn't post videos often enough? JonTron. Like, I love that guy's videos so much.
I don't really watch JonTron. I'll have to check out JonTron. I know I've heard a lot about him. I've just never watched his shit before.
He had a new video like 2 weeks ago, I think. Finally, after like all that time.
Is that all it is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan of JonTron.
3.3 million. I'll sub to him. I'll check him out.
He's one of my favorites on YouTube.
That reminds me of something, man. What's his name? Mr. Rebzion.
Oh, Rebzion, yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen him, man? Like, legitimately, like, try to like tell people that he will sell them pictures of his feet, and like he says, I don't care if you fap to my feet or whatever you do, man. You know, it's just like the money's good. So for $20 a pop, and it's like I can't tell if he's serious or if he's not, man.
Why are you going to send him $20?
God no. Holy no.
Okay, then why worry?
I'm not into feet, dude. That's just that's a paraphilia I do not possess.
Feet are gross.
Yeah.
So really. Now, if I said something like that, would you think I'm joking or would you think I'm serious?
Yes.
I don't know you. Yes. I don't know you well enough yet, to answer that question, man. So it's but yeah, it might be in the one that he talks about Joy Sparkle, which is actually a good video, man. So, but you know what? It is the top of the hour. It is das Mitternacht, and I'm going to go ahead and start the broadcast now. Okay? Does anybody want to say goodbye?
Sure.
Toe Jam.
What is that from?
Homer Simpson.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Donut.
Data Ludes, we'd like to have the stream with you. And next week, I don't know who's going to be doing it, but we should be here. I will. I have nothing to do. All right. All right. See you later.